Welcome back, everyone. So, whether you realize it or not, a lot of stocks leave behind some clues that are telltale signs that it could be a 10x in the future. Now, just being brutally honest here, no one can predict any company, so this isn't going to work 100% of the time. But what I can tell you is that this has a pretty high success rate. It allowed me to find AMD stock back when it was $7 a share, which I rode all the way up past $100 a share, giving me a nice 15x return. And I used the same method with Tesla before its massive explosion, over 100% in gains so far. I also used it with IonQ when it was a $5 stock before it skyrocketed past $40 a share, an 8x return. And of course I used it with Palantir, where my early position made me 6 figures in profit with an over 1000% return on investment. So I totally get it that you might feel like you've missed your shot and think it's impossible to spot these truly once-in-a-lifetime stocks early. But I want to show you that it's really not that hard once you know what to look for. I mean, if you've been holding an S&P 500 index, you might look at your portfolio and think, okay, I know this is safe, but where's the life-changing wealth? And 8 to 14% returns each year are great if you've already got multiple millions. But for normal people, I honestly just think it's too slow. And that's why so many investors chase those 10x stocks in the first place. Not because we're loser gamblers, but because we're cool gamblers who put everything on the line and are always 8 steps ahead of the casino. Really though, if you identify even 1 or 2 10x stocks in your lifetime and size them correctly, they can change your entire financial future. And that's the beauty here. You don't need to be right with every single stock pick that you make. You just need one correct choice, and that can drastically change the trajectory of your life, leading you to live a life of true financial freedom. I mean, everyone's dream in the market is to have bought Amazon back in 2001, or Tesla in 2012, or even Nvidia before they became the king of AI chips. The problem is though, when you look back, it always seems so obvious. But when you're in the middle of it, it can be pretty chaotic, honestly. Everyone's telling you you're wrong, and the media's calling it a bubble, and yet, there were certain people that held onto those companies through all the noise and became insanely wealthy because of it. So today, I want to break this down in a way that's really simple and actually useful, because there is a hidden pattern behind every 10x stock. I've seen it in Palantir, and I've seen it in IonQ. And once you understand this pattern, I think you'll see what I mean. So let's get into these hidden patterns, of which there are 3. The first thing that I've noticed about every 10x stock is controversy. Every single one of them is hated before it's loved. I mean, even to this day, Palantir is steeped in controversy, being called government spyware and the software that's single-handedly going to turn the US into a surveillance state. Tesla was called a fraud that would run out of cash, and Nvidia was looked at too simply, being called just a gaming chip company. And people even laughed at Amazon and said that selling books online would never work. So the truth is, if a company isn't controversial, it's probably already priced in, because safe companies rarely 10x. Controversy is actually a sign that something disruptive is happening. But simply having controversy isn't enough, because a lot of companies can be controversial, but if there's no vision behind the product, then it's probably just a shit company. That's why the second part of the pattern is having a visionary founder or leader behind the company. These are the people who don't just want to build a business, they want to change the world. Elon Musk didn't care about quarterly earnings in Tesla's early days. Alex Karp at Palantir doesn't care if Wall Street analysts don't understand his business model. And even Steve Jobs had a notoriously brutal leadership style with an unwavering vision. Leaders like these are almost psychopathic and delusional in a sense, but they have a way of bending reality to make their vision happen, because without that type of leadership, companies rarely have the stamina to push through all the hate and actually execute on the vision. And the third piece of the pattern, and this is probably the most overlooked, is stickiness. A 10x stock isn't just about hype. It's about becoming irreplaceable eventually. Palantir builds software that gets embedded into government defense systems. And once it's in, you can't really rip it out easily. Nvidia's CUDA ecosystem has developers locked in for years. And Apple built an ecosystem of hardware and software that made switching extremely painful for their customers. And that's what makes these companies extremely desirable. It's what makes them compound over time. Now, here's where most investors screw up, I think. They see controversy, and they basically decide on their own that they shouldn't invest in a controversial company. They see volatility and they sell. Or they buy, but they put in a tiny amount. So even if the company does 10x in the future, it doesn't have a massive effect on their portfolio. And that was actually one of the biggest mistakes that I personally made with IonQ. I believed in it, and I bought in early, but I didn't size big enough. Granted, most of my money that would have gone into it went into my Palantir position, so it ended up working out anyway. But still, when it shot up 400%, I trimmed my position, and guess what? It ran up another 800%, and that mistake literally cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And it's one of the reasons that I talk so much about conviction now, because conviction is like the glue that holds this pattern together. Because knowing the signs of a 10x stock isn't enough. You have to have the conviction to actually hold through all the volatility. For example, Palantir went from a $20 share price to $10 and then down to $5. So if you didn't have conviction, you would have sold and never looked back. But that drop was the best buying opportunity anyone could have asked for. Conviction is what lets you be lazy in the right way. You don't have to day trade or chase the next hot stock. You just need to identify one company, size it properly, and have the courage to sit through it while the world catches up. And here's the thing, you don't need to be invested in 20 different companies. You honestly just need one or two. I mean, think about it. If you had invested $10,000 into Nvidia 10 years ago, that's now worth like $3 million. One decision like that can outweigh a lifetime of index investing. So let's put this all together. The hidden patterns behind every 10x stock are, it starts out controversial, it's led by a visionary founder or leader, and they build something so sticky that it becomes irreplaceable. So if you can find those three things, and if you've got the conviction to actually hold through all the noise, then I truly believe you're going to be able to capture some life-changing returns. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually know which companies fit this pattern? How do I know which ones to bet on and which ones are just hype? Well, I use a very specific system to filter companies, and the best part is that it's actually a pretty lazy way to go about investing, and yet it works really well in finding these kinds of once-in-a-lifetime companies. So if you want to understand this method, watch this video next, where I talk about my lazy approach to building real wealth. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.